Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a pretty huge question, one that really gets to the core of how we all live together. What is it that holds us all together? Are we really a society, or are we something else? Let's jump in.
No, really, just pause for a second and think about that. When you look out your window, at your community, maybe even the world, what do you actually see? Is it people, working together for a common good? Or is it more, a chaotic mix of individuals, all with their own separate agendas? Or maybe, just maybe, it feels a lot more like a battlefield.
Okay, so to get a handle on this, let's define our terms. We've got three big ideas here. First, a society. Think of this as people, families, living together with a shared common goal. Simple enough. Then you've got a crowd. Now, these are people also living together, but their goals are all different. They're just kind of in the same place at the same time. And a battlefield? Well, that's when things get tough. That's people living separately where their goals are actually in opposition to each other. It really forces you to ask, which of these are we living in right now? And more importantly, which one should we be aiming for?
So, with that in mind, let's start with the ideal. What does a truly harmonious society even look like? What is that common goal we're supposed to be shooting for?
Well, according to this model, the ideal human goal is built on four absolutely crucial pillars. Let's walk through them. First up, right understanding in every single one of us. This is what leads to genuine happiness. Second, you have prosperity in every family, and that's a key word, every family, not just a few. Third, a society where we actually feel safe, where we can trust each other. And finally, living in coexistence with nature, not just constantly taking from it.
But that begs a really important question, right? Are all four of these actually required? Can we, just leave one out? But think about it. Can you really have lasting prosperity if people don't have that right understanding? Or can you have a society built on trust if we're busy destroying the very environment we depend on? The whole point here is that you just can't. They're all completely tied together.
Okay, so that's the ideal. That's the dream. Now, let's get real and contrast that with our current situation. Our reality is described here as a gross misunderstanding of what our goals should even be. Wow, that's a pretty heavy statement, so let's unpack what that actually means.
And this visual just lays it all out so clearly. Up top, you've got that ideal human goal we just talked about. But look below it. That's the distorted version, the gross misunderstanding that we're apparently living in. So let's really dig into this contrast, piece by piece.
So let's start at the individual level. Instead of that ideal of right understanding, what do we have? We have a bunch of flawed assumptions. And maybe the biggest one of all is this idea that money is everything. Just think about how that one single assumption completely changes how we approach our entire lives.
And of course, this misunderstanding doesn't just stay with the individual, it scales up to the family. So that goal of prosperity for all gets twisted and warped into this relentless accumulation of wealth, but only for a select few, and often by any means necessary. You see, this doesn't create real well-being. It actually creates deprivation and dependence for everyone else.
So then what happens to our society, to the very fabric that holds us together? Well, that ideal of a fearless community built on trust, it gets replaced by its total opposite. A society that runs on domination, exploitation, and just a whole lot of fear.
And last but not least, our connection to the planet. Instead of a sense of coexistence, our misunderstanding tricks us into believing we have to achieve mastery and exploitation over nature. We start treating it like it's just a pile of resources to be plundered, not a partner that we have to live with.
And here are the results. It's all laid out. This one's central misunderstanding. It's like a poison root, and it sprouts all these toxic branches. We get an obsession with consumption, an obsession for profit, an obsession for just sensual pleasure. And what does that lead to? Terrorism, war, resource depletion, pollution. You see how these aren't separate problems? They all stem from the exact same broken core. Okay, I know that was all pretty grim, but here's the good news. This is not the end of the story. That ideal we talked about at the beginning, it's not just some fantasy. People out there, right now, are actually building it. So let's take a look at how they're doing it.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. It says the project empowers residents to take ownership of their community and work towards a common goal. That phrase right there, work towards a common goal. That is the switch. That's how you go from being just a crowd to becoming a real society.
So check out this one case study. You've got a group of high school students who just decided to do something. They took a totally vacant, neglected lot and used their own unique skills. Some were good at gardening, others at art, others at just talking to people, and they rallied the whole community. See, they didn't wait around for some top-down solution. They built a symbol of hope and unity, literally from the ground up.
And hey, this doesn't just work for small projects. Take the story of Highware Bazaar, a village in India that was facing really deep poverty. They completely turned their reality around. Through smart leadership and a collective decision to just work together, they achieved incredible prosperity. I mean, what a powerful example of what's possible when an entire community gets on the same page and shares a common goal.
So that's the what and the why. But how do we actually build this kind of society? Well, it turns out there's a framework for it, a set of 5 interconnected systems that are basically the pillars for a harmonious community.
So here they are, the 5 dimensions of what's called human order. You can almost think of them as the essential operating systems for a healthy society. It all starts with education, sanskar. Then it moves to health and self-regulation. Then production and work. Then justice and preservation. And finally, exchange and storage. Basically, how we share resources. See how each one builds on the last? They all have to work together to get us to that ultimate human goal.
And the most important thing to get is that it all begins right here with this first one, education sanskar. See, education is what gives us the right understanding. That's the what to do. But sanskar, that's the how to do it. It's the commitment, the practice of actually living by that understanding. It's all about turning what you know into wisdom and, most importantly, into action. If we can get this first step right, everything else has a chance to fall into place.
All right, let's wrap this up and pull it all together. What have we learned? First, a true society is defined by a shared, comprehensive goal. Second, our current path is kind of based on a gross misunderstanding that's leading to some pretty terrible outcomes. But, and this is the big one, we've seen real-world examples that prove the ideal isn't just a dream, it's totally achievable. And finally, there's a 5-part framework that gives us a roadmap for change.
So all of this brings us to the final and I think the most important question, the one for you. Now that you know the difference between the ideal and the reality and you can see a potential path forward, what is one step, just one small thing that you can take right where you are to help move us all from being just a crowd toward becoming a true society? Thanks for joining me on this one.